Hey, it's Menz here. Another What's New and also another scavenger hunt code for today, July 9th. Scavenger hunt code is right above me here, as you can see. You can also find it in the video description and the title as well. If you don't know what the scavenger hunt is for some reason, I don't know how you wouldn't if you watch my videos and, if you are on the NA server, other CCs as well. Take a look at the link below. That pops over to my website and also the official forum from World of Tanks for Damo Sapiens post. Basically, you can get a bunch of good stuff on the NA server when it comes down to personal rewards and stuff like that, just for putting in codes each day for the scavenger hunt. In any event, what's new? Doing a quick little video. No clips today. Maybe later on in the week we'll have some clips. Just gonna do some news. Some pretty big news, popped up literally right after my, last What's New video. The Sandbox popped up for the ammo test again, version 2 of the Sandbox. That's currently what you saw me logged into in the background here, is the Sandbox server. Anybody can log into it. If you pop over to the link that I have in the video description, you can literally just download the client, pop right into it with your account. You don't even have to apply or anything. So a bunch of changes when it comes to ammo, tank HP, and basically, especially tier 1 to 6, their HP goes up significantly, even compared to firepower. And what they did from last time is they did adjust the amount of alpha increase that standard shells got, where you can see the increase went down significantly, especially at the higher tiers where they ruined the time to kill on the first Sandbox test. I know a lot of people are scared about the whole Sandbox, and this is honestly, with the number 2 test here for it, it's looking more and more likely like this is going to be a thing, and a lot of people, I feel like, are just kind of shrugging it off. I think that's personally kind of a mistake. Like, no one's talking about this. It's kind of crazy. When I'm playing on it, I don't see anyone like from the NA server, very few from the EU server. Lots of Russian players though. In any event though, if you read the article, you can make kind of an informed opinion, but I'm going to have a couple little stats here. I plan on making a more in-depth video about this, going over my full opinion, but at least initial thoughts is actually good. The first test, I really disagreed, and it was really complicated. It didn't make sense, and them lowering the time to kill at higher tiers was god awful. However, these changes are actually very similar to the standard server, the time to kill and all this and that. But the main change is obviously premium rounds doing less damage. They do the same damage on Sandbox as the public test, but premium, or not premium, standard shells do more, and there's more HP. There's going to be relearning a lot of things. However, the gameplay feels almost identical. Like killing tanks, taking shots from certain tanks, it feels the same, because proportionally it's very similar. In any event though, what are your guys' thoughts on this? Do you like how Wargaming's kind of going down this path? The reason why they are adjusting things, like swapping over here to the client, is hopping into this little comparison here. You can see like the T110E5 does 490 damage now, M48 Patton does 475 along with the Batchat 12T, and like their hit points 27 or 2,750 for the E5, 2,500 for the M48. So different stats here in the Sandbox, where honestly, the gist of Sandbox number 2 is, like I said, proportionally everything feels the same for standard shells. Even though the damage goes up, tanks HP go up, basically the same. Where for higher tiers, time to kill stays basically the same. However, already gets a pretty significant nerf on its damage potential. Like pulling up some stats here so I don't drone on too long here. Just some little things. So T110E5 on the Sandbox here. 2 shots from a T92 if it hits and pens it, which I know is pretty rare, but just for stat purposes here. It'll overkill a T110E5 by roughly 5% rounding up. So it'll do 5% more damage across 2 shots that pen it, E5 compared to its HP. On the live server, a T92 shooting that same E5, but on the live server with, you know, less damage per shot and less HP, will do 18% more damage than the E5. Where that kind of is the same across the board for all SPGs. And honestly, it's a pretty big change to where it nerfs the damage potential of SPGs pretty significantly. That's something that, you know, it is the sandbox. It might not come, but that's something I wanted to point out. I'll have more thoughts on that in the full video. Time to kill, though, which was ruined in the first sandbox, it lowered down. It got lowered by like 10-15 seconds, which was terrible in the high tiers. The average time to kill, basically, on the sandbox currently is 48.75 seconds for tier 10s, the ones that are available, excluding SPGs, the ones that are available here in the test, which you don't have all of them at your disposal. As you can see here, you got some full tech trees, which thank you whoever just subscribed to me on Twitch or followed me, one of those things. That's why the lights are changing here. But you don't have access to all the tanks. However, though, average time to kill 48.75 seconds. On the live server, it's 48.49 seconds. So virtually identical, just a pinch longer, but most likely that's because a few tanks are missing. So they fixed the time to kill at the high tiers, which was god-awful. Everyone hated it. One other thing is on the first sandbox test, autoloaders became super powerful because, you know, the alpha increase was massive, and basically they could clip a lot more things. On the live server, a bat chat versus the T110E5, it'll do 88.6% of its total HP if it pens every single shot, and, you know, rolls average. However, on the sandbox server, it does 86.4%. So similar, a little bit less on the sandbox compared to the live server, but they fixed that to where that's in line. So nice changes. Honestly, outside of like having to relearn like numbers, but like playing on the sandbox here, which I see a lot of people throwing opinions around, whether, you know, it's like popular names or just people on the forums and Reddit and stuff. Like, there's not that many people actually playing it, to where everyone can throw their opinions around, but till you actually play it, actually playing the second version of this, like the first version was, oh, I was like lost. Everything felt weird, and, you know, the damage and everything felt off. It feels the same here with standard shells. Basically, you might do more damage now, which is nice, but the HP basically rises up proportionally. Premium shells doing less damage are the ones that get hit. Where obviously, you know, more changes when it comes to like certain tanks' armor, say like a mouse or something, would need to be looked at, like adding in some little weak spots, stuff like that, you know, going back to what it was like 3+ years ago, blah blah blah. That's a different video. But what's your opinion on the sandbox here? I think it's a pretty good step in the right direction, where, again, I see a lot of people throwing opinions out. Everyone, you should at least log on here and play some battles. And, you know, with this being the second round of things, and honestly, they got a lot of feedback from the first one. They fixed a lot of things that the community said. Now we're on number 2. It's coming, where I don't think that they're going to scrap this entirely. Anyway, moving on. Before I move on to the little next section here, you know, you'll be watching this on the 9th most likely, unless you're a couple days late. Reddit Q&A is finally going to be popping up with the developers. It's going to be massive, live AMA, a ton of basically Q&A questions from before the AMA are going to be up as well. I highly recommend you to pop over to the World of Tanks subreddit. If not, you can just wait probably for my live stream, you know, basically Tuesday night here. I'll be going over some stuff. I'm probably going to make a video or a Bot Guru article post too. All right, so moving on here. Another big thing. If I didn't screw things up here, which I think I did, is the public test. Public test 1.6 is rumored to come out, you know, this week, the 11th, and possibly the 12th if they run late, to where no real news. It might pop up tomorrow or the next day, like official patch notes, but basically it's coming this week. Where even if it gets delayed, it's still going to come out at the end of the week here. Pretty big news here. Possible things that are going to be in 1.6. Again, these are just kind of rumors. I'm speculating to where more or less things that we have seen in the super tests for the past, month, 2 months, so on and so forth, will be thrown in here. I'll put a link in the video description too to a lot of this stuff. I guess have it kind of typed up here to make it a little bit easier. In any event, though, possible things that we're going to see starting July 11th here. If I can actually click over, there we go. We might see Minsk, a Minsk map rework to where it's larger, and honestly, they change a lot of Minsk around here. Honestly, I'm kind of failing here. There we go. Reworked areas, larger size, like I said. Suburbia, the new frontline map, 30v30, that's a possibility as well. I think it's a long shot, but they might surprise us and add it in. British light tanks. You have tier 7, tier 8, tier 9, and tier 10. Super tiny, pretty big guns. Levi, hi little dude. They're going to be interesting. We might see them put in the HP increases that we see on the Sandbox server for tier 1 to tier 6. Before everything else, I think that's actually a decent possibility where we see tier 1 to tier 6 tanks get their HP buffed on the live server. AMX 30 rebalance, that's a possibility. They canceled that. I think they'll put it back in at some point here. Object 430 and 430 U rebalance is a possibility as well, but that's a little bit less so. They might sneak in. They're talking about like an E100, IS4, both of those lines getting rebalanced, but we probably would have seen something about that. It's always a possibility though. The Bond Shop, it's technically in the client, literally on the live server. It's in the client, it's live. There's just no tanks in it, so it doesn't show up. We might see that finally, kick off here to where that was supposed to come out by now, and it's kind of gotten delayed. Some tanks we might see, like older clan war tanks like the M60, 121B, T95E6, tier 10s that were removed like the FV215B, Foch 155, FV215B 183. You have the Object 77 version 2, which is tier 9 Russian heavy tanks, a possibility. SU 12254. There's other tanks like the Awful Panther, like that little weird light tank, and like some removed tanks that I think they'll add in. There's also a pretty good rumor, the possibility that they're going to swap out the old T95E2 that was the referral tank for the new T95E2 LPC that you have seen probably in Super Test News. If not, there'll be a link. I'll kind of blow through it here pretty fast as well. I think they'll add into the clients too the ranked reward tanks, the Kampfpanzer 50T and also the AE Phase 1 for frontline, and also the ranked rewards. One last little thing as well, before I get too far ahead of myself. So what I guess went over here, rumor about 1.6 coming out this week, July 11th and 12th. Again, links all in order, how they kind of show up in the video description. You have the Minsk rework, which is larger size of the map. They're adding in spots as far as on the right side of the map. They're also changing around the left side, especially the top left corner, significantly. It'll actually make the map pretty good in my opinion, to where nobody likes Minsk right now. You have the new frontline map, Suburbia. It looked really polished in the video. Honestly, I think they're going to try to push it out, to where I wouldn't be surprised if it was this patch, if not the next one. I think they'll push it out and just make sure you're not going to like fall through the map and do something stupid. They'll balance it later because people really want a second map. You have the new British lights, basically here, some info about them. Tier 1 to tier 6, I think they'll add that in, even though it's on the Sandbox. I think we'll see that ahead of the premium shell rebalance. Here's the Object 77 version 2 here. A little bit old as far as the post goes, but this tank I think will be in the Bond Shop. They don't really have anything else to do with it. Like, they can't sell it to tier 9, unless they give it away for Clan Wars, but it's not a tier 10. And then getting into some other stuff here at the very end, but save you looking at some web pages. We're just gonna do this. So, little thing, premium rundown. These are potential premium tanks that we're gonna see very soon here. Basically, we have the A43 Black Prince prototype, which is a down-tiered tier 6 Black Prince premium heavy tank. We also have the FV 1066 Senlac, where this one is highly likely because the British light tanks are coming either in 1.6 or the patch after that, most likely. Where sure we're going to see, you know, some news about that this week. There's going to be a lot of news coming out apparently, so get ready. After that, we have the T-54E2, which is like a mini T-110E5. Gameplay wise, looks like it too. Honestly, that's, you know, that's coming as well, where it plays virtually identical to the T-110E5. It looks like, you know, it just looks a little bit different, and it's 2 tiers lower. You have the M48 A2 whatever Rampanzer, where it has a bulldozer. I think this is a possible tank for actually the bond shop and not to be sold. I could be wrong, who knows. I think they might add some unique tanks into the bond shop if that's actually coming, which is why we've seen a bunch of like quirky little tanks pop up. After that, you have the E75TS, which is this weird thrown together thing from the Luva, the E75, I think the Tiger, a bunch of different tanks. Like, they just threw a bunch of stuff together. Honestly, it makes no sense. It's not really balanced. Like, the stats you see in all these things, don't take them, you know, literal. They're super test stats, to where a lot of them are not finalized. But, you know, we're probably going to see more stuff about these tanks coming up soon. After that, in my last video, you guys saw the VK7501K. That'll most likely be a tank that's sold very soon, and or a marathon tank. And finally, the Skoda T27 here, which is either going to be a marathon, which is my bet, and or, you know, sold as a normal tier 8. In any event, though, yeah, thanks for watching this video. Hopefully you got the scavenger hunt code, and, you know, you're kind of excited for 1.6. I'll be streaming, obviously, I'll be streaming this morning, hopefully on Tuesday here, for the scavenger hunt, and also this evening. Feel free to pop over to Twitch and check me out. I'll be trying to hopefully 3-mark some tanks today, but I said that last video as well. Still making progress. In any event, though, thanks again, guys. Anyone watching here towards the end, I know I kind of babble a lot, and yeah, see you next time. One last thing too, I did kind of forget, I guess, to point out, I did it in the video description last week, but it'll be Xander P. I always forget because the schedule's posted up, you know, basically everywhere for the scavenger hunt, you know, who's going next. Where Xander P is going after me here on YouTube for the scavenger hunt. He has some pretty cool videos when it comes to restoring tanks and all that stuff, where I highly recommend checking that out because it's different than World of Tanks gameplay. It's nice to watch. In any event, though, you can find his link in the video description as well. See ya.